Hello, my name is Benjamin Kepner of Global Social Media Marketing, and today I'm going to be talking about how to identify influencers on Instagram in order to help promote your brand and secure sponsorships working with influencers to increase your sales. So, for today's example, we're going to be talking about a tool called Influencer DB. I recently had a demo with their sales representative in Philip. Thank you for that, Philip. And I'm going to be including some of his insightful comments on how to identify, in this example, a family travel influencer for a travel company. So, without further ado, I'm going to go jump right into this and show you how I would go about potentially finding a travel influencer for a travel brand, even niching down into a family traveler that might be looking for an all inclusive resort vacation in Punta Cana. So, we usually want to start with somebody that's got at least a minimum of 5,000 and then maybe potentially in the range of 25,000. I'll explain why that is an important idea because 5,000, right? They need to have big enough of an audience. 25,000 or more, they may be too high of an influencer or cost too much money. So these are kind of more in that micro influencer range, and we should be able to find a good fit. So from there, we can then look at engagement rate, right? Engagement rate, anything that is doing over 3% is actually pretty good. So we're going to do 3 to 5% for kind of our range. And then for hashtag, we can search different things. So if we were looking for like a family traveler, for example, we might use something like if they have a daughter, or if they have something like mom, or maybe they might have even something as family. Language, right? That's self explanatory. So we might be looking for people in English if we're a US based travel company. We can ask other languages as well. We're going to be targeting, obviously, the United States if we're a US based company. So when we go down to location after languages, we'll want to make sure that we've got United States. And then if we also wanted another country, we might add one of those in as well, such as Canada. Next thing we want to kind of look at, right, is the category. So we might be looking at things like travel, for example, but we might also be looking at things like beauty, if they're a mother or family. So now from there, we've got our audience location, which we had just mentioned as well. We probably want somebody that has an influence on the United States, and then probably also in Canada. Okay, and then we only want active accounts. So now we've got a good list where we can go in and click into some of these. So we've got 13 filters added and 74 influencers that have returned from their database of over 800,000. And we can see some probably good options within here. So just quickly breezing through, I'm gonna now transfer it over to Philip and explain why maybe, for example,
but she's like someone who already has a child even in here. And what I also see is she has
24,000
followers. She grew 2.2% in the past 4 weeks, which is good. Like Sarah, she lost followers. That's not so good. And she has a great like follower ratio. So I would just say I want to look closer at her. First step, always please click on the Instagram and just see, do I like the language she's speaking? Now see, she has a husband, she has a kid, she has a big dog. Yeah, and it's all about, that's what I would call a family influencer, by the way. All about the kid, the dog, herself. And then the next thing is I like to always look here, how did she grow her follower? And this looks nice and organic. There are like no spikes. I would show you a fake profile later on. And you can even look at the follower changes in the last 365 days. I mean, she sometimes loses, she sometimes wins. That's okay. I just don't see a plus 1,000, minus 1,000 or something like this. This is what I'm always afraid of. The same comes to the second column where I see how many channels is she daily following and unfollowing. I mean, this was a Friday. She followed 16 new, but that's okay in my opinion. I just don't want to see her every day to follow 20, 50 accounts, unfollowing them the next day to make like a follow to follow. In the next column, what you see is how often does she get mentioned by other people over 15,000 followers. Honestly speaking, that doesn't often happen to people under 250,000 followers. There they just start to be really viral, that many other influencers mention them. But it goes more about, or if they sell these presets, these filters, they get mentioned a lot. And also important for me, this one, how often do they post or even delete postings? And for this, like, she looks good. Honestly speaking, she just looks good. The next step for me always is outgoing mentions. In what brand environment am I in? And I can just say she's mentioning Petco, Disney, well, Guns N' Roses, she often likes music, Disney Pets. So it's all about her kids and her dog.
Right.
Pity Bowl, Home Goods even. When I see all this, it's mass market. Airbnb, also mass market. Vans, okay, yeah, that's also mass market. For me, it's just like, if I see something like Gucci, Prada, Balenciaga in here, I would be like, okay, she's more for the luxury ones. If I see something like IKEA, Primark, I'm like, okay, she's more for the like really cheaper stuff.
Right.
Or do I see something like what I just see here and that's just mass market? So I say, okay, for mass market, she would be fine. Like if it comes to traveling, don't put her into 5+, put her like star, put her in a 3-star, 4-star with a little bit of luxury, not too much. So it still seems normal because she seems like the girl next door. Like
Right.
when I see this.
Yeah.
And if this is everything you like about her, just click on the audience data. This is like how it looks logged. You use 1 credit, and for the trial now, I'll give you 50 credits. So you can literally analyze in depth 50 influencers. Everything I showed you before, the whole search here, as well as follower changes, outgoing mentions, you can always see for all the influencers in our database without any upcharge or something. And once we have unlocked her, wow, she's good. I'm sorry, I'm impressed. I didn't think she would be that good, actually. You will get gender, age, country, but most important for me, you will get a quality distribution. And what we tell you here is how saturated I have followers. Easily speaking, a follower that comes regularly online and follows 100 channels is a very good follower. Somebody who follows 500 channels is medium because he won't be able to consume the whole Instagram anymore. Only if he had with Scali any kind of engagement, liked her content, commented something, views all her stories. The story will be all up front, the post and the feed all on top. Otherwise, it will get lost in the masses. And if you follow 1,500 or more accounts, you are very bad. Also, if you're like a dead account who never comes online, never posts, never comments, never likes anything, you're a dead account, very bad account. And also, if you're a bot. If you're a bot, you're always very bad. I don't really care how many channels you then follow. So we pretty much tell you how likely is it that the followers will really see the content and the quality distribution. And in the quality grade, we're just comparing Scali to all the influencers worldwide, plus minus 10% of follower accounts.
Rating of 85, which means based on 10% minus or plus of her followers in that range, she ranks above in the top 85% of that audience.
And that's just literally really good. When it comes to, especially somebody who has United States followership, you will find way more mediums than, for example, Scandinavians. They're the most selective ones. They only like to follow 100 channels. Germans like to follow 300. Americans love to follow 400 to 500 people. This is why you find more good and medium here than very good. Like Scandinavians, you would see a different range. And I always say for Americans, B- is fine, because the Scandinavians are the A1s. It's incredible how selective Scandinavian followers are. And what's probably the coolest for what I like, especially because you're for me right now in a pitching phase with your customers, to try something out and then be like, hey, this is what we did and we would like to do more. What you can do is then you can just click here on export. I'm a bigger fan of custom export and just be like, instead of writing down here her bio, be like reasons, probably even why you worked with her, like afterwards. You see, look, this is what we did. These were the reasons when we found her. What you get is like an asset card. And what my customers from agencies always do, they say, you know what, I didn't just look at her and believed in the numbers. I also went through and I got in like a the metrics you see here, I got them from InfluencerDB. We are more known in Europe than in America, but I would say our customer revolve speaks for itself in America, that they trust our data. It's about that you can literally say, you know what, I do more than just look at influencers. It's for agencies. It gives you like a credibility, so to speak, to be like, you know what, I don't just trust nice pictures on Instagram. I want to see the metrics behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And then this is what you can just send to your customers. Later on, most of my agencies, they use these for like, okay, these are my 10 favorites, but let also the customer choose the ones they want to work with.